Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest weather-wise. Today is April 27th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. Check out this ridge starting to build along the west coast of North America here. It's going to bring us a few nice days here across Pacific Northwest today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Should be quite warm many areas. You can kind of see the clouds still streaming into British Columbia here, still getting some of that high cloud action across Pacific Northwest here. Big cutoff low here across Pacific's eventually going to get reabsorbed in the westerlies and start to move up with a trough that's going to approach us here as we go on in through the day Sunday and on in through next week. This trough is then going to settle down, it looks like, across some of California here, and we can get some wraparound flow and some instability here. Possible thunderstorms here across Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at those details here in a moment. This is looking at Seattle yesterday. Look at this, 67 degrees. What a nice day it was yesterday out there. 5 degrees above average. Still nowhere near the all-time record high for the day, though. But we could challenge some of those records here on the 28th and 29th here. The record high for the 28th is 76 degrees, and we're forecast to be somewhere right around there. So we'll have to watch that closely as we go. And if you guys want to help support the page, if you see the video going on, that join button down below is where you would do that. Click on that and you can send the channel a couple bucks if you feel like it down there. Otherwise, just click like and subscribe. This is looking at the temperature outlook. Eastern Washington here. Check out some of these temperatures here coming up on Saturday. Look at Lewiston, 86, Wenatchee, 84. Bit of a cool down Monday here, but then we're going to bounce back, it looks like, potentially as we go through midweek coming up here. More on that here in a moment. And this is just a reminder, those rivers and lakes remain cold. We got a lot of snowmelt coming out. Very chilly rivers and streams here coming. So even experienced swimmers can be overwhelmed by these flowing cold waters. This is warmer and drier this weekend here. Nice graphic here from the National Weather Service, Missoula, Montana. Summer-like temperatures, mostly sunny, but of course those chilly streams and rivers. Now this is looking at the European on the left, GFS on the right. You can see the ridge starting to build here. And look at that, by the time we get towards Friday, it is well established all the way up through southeast Alaska and BC, up towards the Yukon here. Then the next trough starts swinging in here after another warm day Saturday and another warm day Sunday east of the Cascades coming up. You can see we start to get some differences as we head on in towards Monday. The GFS more consolidated low here off the coastline, and you can see the European kind of splits this up a little bit here. So we've got some differences emerging there, and as we go on in through mid and later next week, you'll see some more differences occur here. As you can see, that upper level low kind of continuing over California. The European wants to back this off over the Pacific Ocean a bit here, and then you can see the difference in the next trough here coming in as we go on in through the 10-day period. So just kind of showing you guys, we got some model discrepancy coming up here, but for the most part this trough's going to settle down. It is going to bring a thunderstorm threat across a lot of the Pacific Northwest as we go through mid and later this week coming up. More on that here in a moment. This is looking at the NAM 3KM mean sea level pressure, and this is, I'm trying to show you the thermal trough signature here. It's a very subtle feature here. As we go through Friday morning, you can kind of see it here, but you notice there's no big gradients or anything. You can kind of see that thermal low centered right across western Oregon here as it works its way up the coastline here and into western Washington towards Vancouver Island by the time we get towards Friday night. It's a very subtle feature. You know, it's not like a big trough is what you normally would think here across the region. Now, then we start to move towards Saturday a bit, and you can see that next trough out here. This is what's eventually going to bring the marine push as we go through Saturday evening here and cool things down a bit west of the Cascades, but we're kind of backing off on just how much we might cool down across some of the area here. Show that here more in some more detail in a moment. This is looking at mean sea level pressure anomaly, so this kind of gives you a shading on that thermal trough and kind of makes it more apparent just where that thermal trough is located here. Here we go into Friday afternoon, and we start to go into Saturday, and you can kind of see that thermal trough signature here across Pacific Northwest before the next trough starts to make its way towards us. This is looking up towards 5,000 feet, 850 millibars here, and this gives a nice signature here as well. As you can see, the very warm temperatures here at 5,000 feet by the time you get into Friday afternoon, reaching all the way up into British Columbia here, kind of marking that thermal trough. And then we go a bit more on into Saturday night, into Sunday morning here. Another warm day east of the Cascades on the day Sunday. Here comes that upper level trough and some below average temperatures associated with that. But you can see that we're not cool enough just quite as much as we thought, but we'll look at those temperatures here in a moment. This is about 2,500 feet up in the atmosphere, 9 925 millibars, and you'll clearly see this tongue of warm air make its way all the way up across Vancouver Island by the time you get to Saturday morning here, and then it starts to kick off a bit here, and that's what's going to try to bring that marine push as we go on in through Saturday night into Sunday here with another very warm day here east of the Cascades. This is looking at surface-based Cape, so this is going to be a big story here coming up in the next few days. We have decent thunderstorm potential, especially across some of the Cascades in eastern Washington. Now I'm going to scroll through. We're going on into Sunday here, and you can see some of this atmosphere destabilizing, and then we go on into Monday afternoon. You can see that continued Cape out here, but then watch as we go on into Tuesday. You can really see it start to build across portions of eastern Washington, some of the Cascades. And check out Wednesday. We're just going to get multiple rounds of this potential here as we go on in through mid and later next week. Thursday again. Friday yet again across the area here, and then on in towards next week and potentially up into BC here as well. So something to watch right now. These systems can be very fickle. It really matters where this trough opens up on the west coast here, and we get this wraparound southeast flow here that can really destabilize the atmosphere. This is looking at those 500 millibar winds at 18,000 feet. Big ridge builds here, and we get the marine push and the troughing approaching the coastline as we go on in through the day Sunday. Then notice this trough drop back down south, and here we go with that wraparound flow here, bringing that thunderstorm potential. Could even bring a couple rounds off the Cascades into western Washington or Oregon, depending on just how this trough sets up and just how much we destabilize here across some of the upper levels of the atmosphere. And you can kind of see that flow continuing on through Thursday and Friday here as we go on into next week and next weekend. So something to watch. Very interesting setup here. Can bring some dynamic thunderstorms here across the region. This is looking at the European lightning flash density potential. Now, as we go on in, I'm going to speed ahead here till this is Monday afternoon here. You can see that threat start to exist here, mainly east of the Cascades. As we go on into Tuesday, check this out. You can see some of these showers and thunderstorms moving from southeast to northwest here across the region. We destabilize again Tuesday, again Wednesday, and Thursday again across the region here. So we got some interesting weather headed our way. And look, by the time you get into Thursday night and Friday morning, some of this activity moving out of the southeast across western Washington, Vancouver Island, southwest BC, can't rule it out as well. And we continue to be unstable here, I should say, across Friday afternoon. This is looking at Tri-Cities, and this is surface-based Cape ensemble runs, and you can see these values increase as we go on in through midweek coming up. This is looking at one of the profiles I cherry-picked out there across eastern Washington. Look at this possible hazard type tornado there. A little bit of some curvature with this photograph, although it is completely backwards. As you see, we got some westerly winds. These are turning northwest, north, and then eventually out of the southeast and east as you go aloft. But the big story there is just the huge thermodynamic profile or very unstable atmosphere. So yeah, we could get some severe weather out of this. It's possible as well for some areas across the Pacific Northwest here. This is looking at temperature. So you got today, I think we're going to be a little bit warmer than that, maybe up towards 70 degrees here for Seattle today. We'll see how that turns out. But you can see we're going to get up towards the upper 70s here as we go on into Friday, Saturday. Some areas of western Washington probably headed for some low 80s as well. Potential cool down here and maybe bounce back. And these temperatures are much more comfortable compared to what we have been having over the last few months or so, as we're back up towards average even in these worst days here. And then maybe a couple warm days in there next week as well. We'll see how this trends. This is Portland International. Look at some of the temperatures well up into the 80s here. 86 on Friday, the National Blend of Models is calling for. This is Brookings, Oregon here, and you can see the cool down coming on. We're going to have some onshore flow here. As probably Friday is going to be the warmest day for Brookings. This is Tri-Cities, nice warm temperatures out there bouncing around here, and this is going to depend on just where that convection sets up as well, with the potential to cool us down any one of these given days out there across eastern Washington. This is Boise. Check out some of these warm temperatures Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, well into the 80s here. Big flip to summer coming up. And stick with me towards the end of the video because we are going to go over some of the flooding potential here with some of that snowmelt going on, mainly portions of the Cascades and east as well. This is Seattle, Tacoma. If you look out here towards Friday morning, you can see some precipitation starting to show up here, and that would be associated with some thunderstorm potential as we go on in through the end of next week. This is Paradise. Again, you can see that potential for some thunderstorm activity here as we go on in through the end of the week here as well. This is looking at 24-hour precipitation total in inches. This is the GFS as of last night. Put it into motion, and you can see by the time we get on into Monday, we got some of this southeast to northwest flow moving across the region here. Thunderstorm potential. That trough drops down over California here. We're going to be in this defluent flow aloft here that's going to allow for this instability to build across Pacific Northwest. And you can see it starts to bring some precipitation even across western Washington that could be in the form of thunderstorms. And you can kind of see that those tracks of those precipitation, those storms, thunderstorms here as it moves across Oregon, eastern Washington, all the way through next weekend. We could potentially be in this pattern. We'll see how this unfolds though as we go day by day. Here we're looking at 2-meter temperature anomaly. This is for today. You can see things warming up all the way through southwest BC here, all the way down through California and Oregon. And on into tomorrow, we really warm things up here. We're well above average. Some places getting up over 20 degrees above average at this time for this time of year. And as we go on into Saturday here, again, another very warm day across Pacific Northwest. And we get into Sunday here and we cool down a bit, but you notice some of western Washington, southwest BC, not really cooling down that much. A little bit more across maybe some of western Oregon down through California, coastal regions there. But yeah, another very warm day would be in tap here across the region Sunday. As you can see, some areas getting 20 degrees plus above average for this time of year. This is the 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook. You can see the trough setting up over California here and the potential for some warmer than normal conditions here across portions of the Pacific Northwest. 6 to 10 day precipitation probability. This is 8 to 14 days, similar to the 6 to 10 day as well. Now, taking a look here, this was just released, map released April 27th here, and really not many changes here across Pacific Northwest, and hopefully we can bring some precipitation here with this cutoff low that's going to emerge across California back into the east slopes of the Cascades of Oregon. Maybe we can erase some of that extreme and severe drought there. This is percent of average precipitation. It's kind of showing you, look at this. January 27th through April 26th, we are between 50 and 70% of normal here across the Seattle metro. Some of the Cascades are even drier, less than 50% for some of these select areas as well. This is average max temperature. I ran this one yesterday as well, and you can see the entire state of Washington's been below average for the last month. Here is Oregon. Some of the east slopes not been doing too bad, but some areas have been below average precipitation here for the last 3 months. This is temperature here, virtually the entire state below average. This is Idaho, and there's Idaho's maximum temperature departure from average here over the last month. So this is looking at the National Weather Service talking about these hydraulic outlooks here, and this is for that snowmelt going on here. And you can see the east slopes of the Cascades, Oregon, across some of the Blue Mountains here. And this is what they're talking about, rises on streams and rivers expected due to snowmelt there. And so watch out for that if you're out and about, watch out for those recreational swimmers out there. The water is going to be high, fast, and cold. This is down for Idaho here, and you can see there's some flood watches out here, and this is all due to snowmelt out here. And this is special avalanche bulletin here, just talking about the first significant and extended warm-up here will lead to dangerous avalanche conditions out there, well above freezing, and freezing levels will soar to 12 to 14,000 feet over the next several days here. So heads up for that if you're out and about in the backcountry, that snow is going to be melting, and some of those avalanche concerns will be enhanced, we'll say. So yeah, here we go. A few warm days coming up here. Then that interesting trough sets up, can bring some of our most active weather here across Pacific Northwest. You can really get some intense, interesting thunderstorms here across the region with the pattern setting up as what it looks like as far as next week. So fingers crossed there. If you like some thunderstorm activity across Pacific Northwest, it's extremely rare, so I know a lot of people like to watch it occur here, but we'll watch it as we go day by day. The European and the GFS both show that potential as we go on in through next week. But anyway, yeah, click like, subscribe if you want to join the channel. Again, click that join button down below. And yeah, we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.